Match day 3 of the European Championship is upon us. 2 games in the book for each nation. Time to kick off the business end of the group stages. This is Betting Weekly Extra Time Euro 2024 edition. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, plenty of winning trends if you've managed to find them. Favourites, the draws, both teams to score. Yes, how's it gone so far for you?
Good morning. It was a terrible first set of fixtures for her. I couldn't find a winner. Set number 2 is profit, and set number 3 is the tournament. These are the matches I like most, where you can sort of second guess the teams, where you can think where teams' motivation is going to be. Very similar towards the end of the Premier League season, where you think teams might be on the beach, teams trying. These are the matches I quite like because you go away from like your normal statistical base or your tournament base, and you have an outside opinion of how things are going to go. And sometimes you can get it right, and sometimes you can get it wrong. The one thing I would say here is that I started off. I'm heavily short of goals. Surprise, surprise, in the tournament at 139 at the start, and I was absolutely petrified after the first 3 matches because the line went up by 10. But in a tournament that everyone's thinking is an over tournament, and there's been goals going on in the first stages, the actual tournament line on how many goals has actually dropped after the 2 sets of the opening set and the second set. This is the all-important set. Obviously, goals go up here, but I think it's a tournament that everyone has got. You know, people say, "Oh, it has been loads of goals, man on the street, loads of goals." But in fact, there hasn't. It hasn't really been that. There hasn't been a standout team. I've never known a tournament where you've got 5 or 6 sides, or 5 sides actually, vying for favouritism at the top of the market. Only 1 point separating 5 times, 4, 4, 5, 5 in the betting. Never seen it before in a major tournament. We've got a really business end, and that. You would suggest when we get to the knockout stage, in particular quarterfinals, we're going to have a lot of very tight matches. Don't think there's much between them. The takeout teams are obviously Spain. You've got France, who haven't hit their stride. England haven't hit their stride. I think Spain have been exceptional. Portugal have been exceptional, and Germany. They're the 3 takeouts. And we're just waiting for England and France, the pre-tournament favourites, to hit their stride. Can they do it? We'll wait and see over the next few days. But I'm looking forward to this set of fixtures. Always a good set for me, and I'm looking forward to this set.
Jack, as Nigel says, goals have dried up a little bit. The average 2.54 over the first 24 games. What's your takeaways been from match days 1 and 2?
I was very surprised. Hello, both of you, first of all. I was very surprised how that opening round of fixtures started, to be fair. I expected it to be tight and cagey. I think that was generally the expectation of that, and it certainly wasn't. Most teams were front foot. They were pressing high. It was aggressive. There's only a couple of sides I thought that sat deep and tried to soak pressure up and maybe hit on the break. So that was a kind of bit of a startling one. And like Nigel, my start was pretty terrible. Match day 2 was a lot stronger. As you say, you start to get a read on teams, which ones are in form, out of form, how they're shaping up, which will be good matches and so on. And that'll only improve. And like I say, I think the goals line did spike in that opening round of fixtures. It's kind of plateaued and now heading back towards where we were kind of expecting it to be. And generally, we would now expect it to get tighter and tighter once you get into the knockout stage, of course, where it's do or die. So that will be an interesting trend to follow. But yeah, I think we're now feeling more confident after that opening blast that was a bit like, wow, what's going on here? You know, when you start talking with a 5-1, I think that's a big surprise in itself, and the kind of trends carried on for a while. So we always said, didn't we? Keep your powder dry initially, get a little bit of a feel for the competition, and then you can start to get a bit bolder as the tournament goes on and the reads get stronger.
Just picking up, Nigel, on something that you mentioned, and Jack as well. The tournament format, this is the third European Championships where we've got those third place teams going in to a round of 16. Does that make it easier for match day 2, as you've alluded to? Because I remember the France-Netherlands game, well, they both won their first game, and you think, well, yes, it should be a sort of big hitter, 2 really good established nations going head-to-head maybe for the win, but they both knew, pick up a point here and it's fine. You can, on the other end of the scale, think you're Scotland and think, well, OK, I'll get a point against Switzerland. I'll make that final match day must-win against Hungary. So for bettors, is that match day 2 situation a bit easier for us?
Well, match day 2, even when the 2 teams qualified, was always tight matches. You know, if 2 teams are top, 2 big teams in a group in a World Cup where the top 2 go through and not the thirds, the second game was always quite tight. You take 4 points used to be always get you through to the group stages, and that hasn't changed much. But great Group 2 matches were always the under matches. Every game in the group stage, you bet unders, you sort of you cash if you look statistically over the years. And Group 3 was the one. The match 3 is the one that all goes goal crazy. Lots of reasons why. A lot of teams obviously have qualified. A lot of teams have gone out. But on this occasion, there's a lot to play for in Group 3. So I think the trend that everyone's going for these overs in the third match of the groups might not be the way. I mean, because there's only, two teams, or one team, I think, in the whole tournament's got nothing to play for going into this stage, which makes it tight. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be quite interesting. And I'm very happy to be on the under totals because some of these goal lines have hitched at 3.5. I don't see 3.5 goals in some of these games with so much at stake for all the teams barring one.
Yeah, you mentioned that one. That's Poland, and hats off to both Nigel and Jack because they were official picks ahead of the tournament to finish bottom of the group, and Poland are going home early, the only team that cannot qualify heading into match day 3. Jack, any team that you sort of like to add to your futures portfolio? Nigel rattled through some of the futures prices previously. There's been tweaks at the top in terms of Germany and Spain and a bit for Portugal. Was there someone that you'd like to add, or are you with Nigel here? No one's really impressed you that you'd want to get with them going in to match day 3?
My main play outright was France, so Nigel's right there, isn't he? They've not really impressed, but I don't think they're out of third gear really at the moment, so we expect more from them. Obviously, they've managed the Mbappe situation. He'll likely be on the bench again, I'd imagine, because they expect to get past Poland and use him where they need to, save him up. But, yeah, it was France for me and fade on England at the odds. I'd say, yeah, Germany obviously impressed. You wonder if they've kind of peaked too soon. Certainly I wouldn't be getting involved at the prizes now. I know Nigel was on a ticket at the start of the tournament. That looks like a great play, obviously, at this moment in time. And Portugal, again, I think the whole bet, because we were in team, we're supporting Portugal. So that proved to be good because they do look impressive, certainly yesterday as well. So no one else outside of that group, I don't think you'd really be looking at the moment and going, yeah, I'd want to get on side with them.
Any standout for top scorer, Nigel? Golden Boot?
Well, I mean, going back to your question on the, I'm on Portugal and Germany at the start. So they were my two picks, and I'm looking in great shape. The only team that I would be worried about, and the team that I think have been impressive for Spain, but I couldn't back them at 5-1 because they're young. But what I could do, and I know if you've got some money to tie it up for 2 years, I think double figures for Spain to win the World Cup in America is absolutely ginormous. I mean, England are 4-1 to win the World Cup. I mean, and Spain are 10-1. When these are 16-year-old, 18-year-old kids, give them 2 years, they'll be the real deal. And I think that's the bet. They're the standout team for me. What I've seen so far, whether they can win the tournament, whether 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds can do it at the big ends, and they're relying heavily on Rodri. The experience well on him. I'm worried about him. On top goal scorer, I think it's the most open market I've ever seen.
Isn't it?
I mean, this is the most open tournament. It's great for betting. I mean, I bet Harry Kane. I bet Lukaku. I mean,
He's had 3 disallowed goals. Unbelievable.
He would be unbelievable, and his goal XG compared to any striker is incredible. So it would have surprised me to see a match like someone coming into a match here like a dead rubber or a match here that goes crazy, scores a hat trick and nicks it. A complete outsider, like we have seen in major championships before.
We could see it, like I said, that we could have one of these guys get rotated in, hasn't played yet, and may not even play down the line. As you say, get a hat trick, he'll go top of the charts. He could then. We saw it with Ramos, didn't we? When Ronaldo got dropped in the World Cup, he came on and scored a hat trick, didn't he? So there is a chance of that, absolutely. So that could be mad. And I know it was the year Fernando Torres won it. I can't remember the actual year, but there was a 3-way tie with 3 goals as the outright winner. So could be something similar to that, because at the moment, other than pot shots from outside the box, we haven't got that lethal clinical striker at the moment that is scoring.
Well, there is the clinical strikers doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
You know, there isn't, there'll be nobody around anymore. Like it was a top striker. The most famous one was the guy from Romania, wasn't it? Was it Romania? The guy. Well, who scored? He scored 5 goals in the last match. Was it
USA 94?
It was USA 94. He was a top goal scorer in the World Cup. He scored 5 goals in a dead rubber. They won 5, and he won the top.
I can't remember his name.
I'll think of it in a minute. I'll get the name. I'll Google it in a minute. But
yeah,
but he scored 5, and West Ham went and bought him for like 10 million.
Was it not Radicchio? Was it not Florian Radicchio?
Was it him? He scored 5 goals in the last dead rubber, and that kind of thing could happen here.
Just a reminder for everyone, check those third place teams as the group progresses for match day 3. It's head-to-head for group placings, but it's goal difference when it comes to the placings of the best third place teams. So it's sort of a bit counterintuitive with UEFA rules, and that is going to change. And obviously there's one match where the draw is around about even money that we'll get to on match day 3. That could be a massive carve up. And a shout out to everyone who's watching the shows as well, because we've had really good comments on YouTube. If you fancy anything on YouTube, if you've got any bets, let us know. We're happy to answer your questions and your queries. We're 10 minutes in, we've not had any picks, so we're going to stop that and get some selections from the boys here. We're going to start match day 3 with Albania-Spain. Albania plus 575, Spain minus 215. We're in Dusseldorf for this one, Jack. Spain already topped the group, 2 wins from 2. Does that play into your selection here? Talk us through your pick for Albania-Spain.
It does. It's exactly the reason I put Albania up here on a +1 Asian handicap. You can play them at +1.25 at minus money, but I've gone for a slightly more aggressive play, plus 1 on the Asian handicap, which of course means if they lose by 1 goal, we get a refund on a stake. So a draw or a win for Albania in this one, and we cash the ticket. And you've said it, Spain have already done the job. They're top of the group. They've got nothing else to play for here. There's no benefit in them getting a positive result with us. All I want to do is get through this game and make sure there's no injuries and suspensions, and obviously going to rotate players out. Danny Carvajal, Lenormand is the 1 card away, so they'll be rotated out. Rodri suspended for this one already, so we know that he is a key element of Manchester City and Spain's play. Everything goes through him. He doesn't like not to have the ball for more than 30 seconds at any one time, so he'll get that. So they will rotate all those stars out. They don't want to risk him here against Albania, and that does give Albania a big chance in it. So I thought even what we're seeing so far from Spain, their impressive performances, they were quite fortunate against Croatia to win 3-0. Missed penalty, they conceded more possession, more shots, XG, the battle they lost. So it didn't actually warrant being a 3-0 result, other than the most important thing of putting the ball in the back of the net, of course. And against Italy, it showed you, like we were then talking about, there's no clinical striker. They missed a hatful of chances, and you can't afford to do that because you'll get found out in the knockout stages. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, say for me, Albania, they've had 2 very decent accounts of themselves against 2 very good sides so far. Obviously took the lead in 23 seconds against Italy. That's the European Championship's quickest ever goal, so they're going to leave you'd expect to leave a mark on the tournament, which is fair play to them, even if they do go out at this stage. And they also, at that point of time, had scored the latest equaliser in European Championship history, only for that to be then beaten. I think it was the next day. But for anyone who doesn't know, they've got Silvinho, the former Arsenal and Barcelona player, in as their head coach, who's done a very good job with them. They've got Pablo Zabaleta, who's obviously been at Manchester City and all-round top clubs in Europe, again, as a assistant coach. So they've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience in it. I think they'll bring that to the table in this particular one. So their defeat to Italy was their only competitive loss in the last year. 8 games in that whole body of work. And their last competitive loss by more than 1 goal came back in November 2021. And that's 16 games. So it's a fair trend. And say Silvinho's really turned them around. They topped the group. They only conceded 4 times. And that only Portugal and France were lower. So I think they've got enough about them to make this competitive. And possibly, look, they'd love to get a draw here. A win, obviously, they need to qualify. But I think they want to go out of the tournament. If they do go out with their heads held high, and then this is a good opportunity to get them on a plus handicap, because Spain don't need to do anything.
So, Albania, +1, +118 the price, against Spain, match day 3. One game that we want to mention, not necessarily an official play, Nigel, from you, but in the same group, and both of these games, Group B, of course, which is Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Croatia +225, Italy +133, and the draw +230 here. Italy needs a point to make sure to get to the round of 16. I mean, Croatia need to win, and not necessarily an official play, but this is just a theme that you think might play out in a number of games, and this is the first one that you just want to highlight.
Yeah, just before that, Oleg Selenko.
Oh, Selenko, that's it.
He's got 5 goals
Selenko
against Cameroon, 6-1 in the final group stage, and he was a top goal scorer in the world. He didn't go to West. He went to West Ham, went to Glasgow Rangers.
That's it.
Scored 8 times for Russia and scored 6 goals, and 5 of them was in one match. He was a top goal scorer in the World Cup. Anyway, I think this is a good theme. I think matches where teams have got huge amounts to play for, where it's a must-win match, I believe you want to get on bookings. The lines are around about 3.5, 4.5. On the tournament so far, there's been 915 yellow cards in 24 matches, averaging 3.8 cards per game. The line is pretty much consistent in this round. I think there's some matches in this round where there won't be a booking. I mean, games like Germany.
Hang on, how many yellows?
There's been 9. Sorry, 915 in 24. Is that right?
90.
Is it 93?
93.
I've got that wrong. No, I'm reading the wrong stat anyway. So it works out 3.8. It's been 89 cards.
That's
in
it.
24 matches, right? So I was looking at the current price. 194 is the current price. So 3.8 cards per game. Now, in this round, there's going to be matches where teams have got something to play for. They rotate that Spain game, for example. That might be under the bookings, but there's matches here where it means everything, and there could be feisty matches. And I believe that Italy and Croatia here, proud nations, bit feisty nations if they go behind. If Croatia go in the lead, then Italy may not make the knockout stages. Wait to see the third place. If Italy go in front, then the Croatians could go out. So I believe that bookings in yellow cards could be an angle in some of these all-important matches. So that one is a lean. I've got a better one a bit later on.
You have indeed. Let's talk about France-Poland next. This is Tuesday, midday Eastern, Group D. France here minus 335, Poland plus 900, draw plus 475. Now, when we did the preview show, Nigel, with James Easton, he was suggesting, look, if France are through as group winners here, they will rotate a lot and they're one to swerve, but it's not that straightforward, is it, this time around? Because only a win really gives France a shot at topping the table here. Poland are already out, so this is not as straightforward as we thought it might be, therefore. What do you like in this one?
Well, it's nothing like what we thought, because Poland are obviously bottom of the group, but coming into this match, the French are the lowest scorers in the tournament. And we bet Poland to be the lowest scorers in the tournament. It's quite incredible, really. But this is a must-win match and a must-win well match for France, because this group is more than likely going to come down to goal difference, and you don't want to come runner-up in this group, because you will go into the more difficult part of the draw, where you will meet potentially Belgium. You're going to a draw with Portugal. You're going to a draw with Spain and Germany.
Yeah,
So
you bump up to the top half, don't you? Basically, that's the thing.
You want to be winning this match. So it's really important for France to come out and put a show on. And this Poland side, the first strength 11 Polish side, we said, is one of the weakest in the tournament. They haven't let me down in their performances. I think they were bang average in the first match. They should have lost a lot more against the Netherlands. They played a lot better in the second match, but they still got beat. And now they come here, they're going to rest players. It could be Lewandowski's last international match, I would have thought, potentially. So apart from that, they've got really nothing else to play for. I can see huge rotation. The French have got to go strong. They've got to get Mbappe on the pitch at some stage, because Mbappe, a stat I found the other day, that France have, since he made his debut, France have never won a game that Mbappe hasn't played. So he's got to be in part of this game. They met in the last World Cup. It was 3-1 to France in the round of 16. And Kylian Mbappe scored 2 goals in that match. They went on to make the final. And Poland did score a goal by Lewandowski. It was a penalty in the 100th minute. And remember, that World Cup was getting 10 minutes, 11 minutes entry time. We haven't got that anymore. So France have got to win, and they've got to win well, because obviously the Netherlands are playing at the same time against Austria. And if they win that, they've got to beat that result. So I like France here minus 1.5 against a Poland side have got absolutely nothing to play for. We said all along that they were the worst side coming into the tournament. I thought they were the poorest side. Their qualification form was absolutely dreadful. Their playoff form was absolutely dreadful. They played a little bit better than expected. They've scored 2 goals, but I still think with 2 goals in this tournament, they could still be one of the lowest scorers in the tournament. I just can't see much more than that. So I'm going to go for France here minus 1.5. I think it's essential that they win this match with a big scoreline, top that group, because runner-up is bad for them, really bad for them. And I think if France come runner-up in the group here and England win their match, come on to win it, England will be, honestly, despite their performances, England will be about probably about $3 favourites again to win this tournament, because everyone will be in that top half of the draw.
Do you think, Nigel, that, I mean, England, we'll come on to England shortly, they've come in for a lot of stick and they were pre-tournament favourites. I mean, France's price hasn't wavered too much, but they've not necessarily been impressive, have they, France?
Yeah, but they're doing it without Mbappe. I mean, he's going to be fresh. You know, if he's got this injury and he wouldn't, and if they qualify in top place, if they qualify in top and then they go into the knockout stages with Mbappe playing 60 minutes of football, well, that's a massive advantage to have the best player in the world, best player in the tournament, rested up, and you still won the group. But I do think he'll play a part in this match, and I think he'll come on, and I think France will win it. Poland are poor. They're out of the tournament, and France need a big win, and I think they'll get it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting, Jack. Just a quick word on Mbappe, because I know that. Well, I mean, I've backed him for the top goal scorer. I think Nigel's right. At some stage, they will want to get some minutes into his legs here, and if you've got top goal scorer tickets, you've not got to worry too much yet about Mbappe. I guess the flip side is if they're 3-0 up and they don't start with Mbappe, they might not bring him on at all. I don't know. Where do you see the Mbappe top goal scorer in this game situation at the minute?
Yeah, I think they'd like to give him a run out. Not so much for his fitness, but obviously to give him a trial run in a game situation with the mask on, because it is going to have a little bit of a difference. I think they want to get that experience in a game which will hopefully by that stage be a dead rubber. So yeah, I could see him being on the bench and getting the last 15-20 minutes, but they wouldn't want to risk him too much in that. But I did say when we did the top goal scorer show that I don't see Mbappe really as that kind of. We're talking. You've got two types of striker or goal scorer. The one that will get 4 or 5 goals in group stages and then not do an awful lot later. And then I said if Mbappe goes out of the group stages with 0 or 1 goals, I wouldn't be too upset, because he's a big game player. We saw it in the World Cup final where we got a hat-trick there. I think he's that kind of player that will get better and score the goals that matter later on in the competition.
Let's get to Group C. This is England's group. 3 p.m. Tuesday, Eastern. We'll do Denmark-Serbia first, because we've got 2 plays in this one. Denmark plus 120 at the minute. Serbia plus 255. Draw around about 225 here. Denmark need a win to qualify. Serbia should qualify with a win, you would have thought. It does feel like a knockout game. Jack, how do you assess this one?
Yeah, I'm just going to take Denmark to win this on the money line. They impressed me against England. How much of that was poor England? I think a lot was made, of course, how badly England play, but it takes 2 to tango, as they say. And I thought Denmark strangled that game away from England. They put a lot of pressure on. They were energetic. There was a lot made about the pitch as well, which was terrible. It'll be interesting to see Germany. I think they're playing on that one. Is it tonight they're playing on that? But it seemed England had lots more problems with the pitch than Denmark did. I think they got on with it, cracked on. They do lack a cutting edge again. It's a repetition of theme here, that they haven't got that striker that is going to be clinical and score the goals. But in Højlund, they have got the potential to do that. So I think what they did bring is a huge atmosphere as well. I think that's a massive part. We've seen a couple of the nations that have brought loads of support, and it's been a big driver. I think there's like 50,000 Danes over in Germany supporting that. And is it Højbjerg who said that it's been like playing at home, which is quite a key thing for Denmark, because their home form is very, very strong. They won all 5 qualifiers, and away from them, they're not quite so good. So they are trying to make it like a little Copenhagen there. And I think against Serbia, I think they've got enough to win this one. Interesting comparison. They kind of eased their way into tournaments, and they Euro 2020, the last tournament, so obviously it took place in 21, but they won the match day 3-4-1 against Russia. So it kind of, when it matters, when they need to go and be a bit more positive, then they can bring that to the table. So they're very strong at both ends for set pieces as well. I think that's a key element, not only scoring them, but against this Serbia side, they are strong and they're physical. They've got a great set piece exponent in Tadic. They've got 2 or 3 physical presences in the box. Denmark don't concede many chances from set pieces. They're like in the top 3 or 4 in qualifying for that side of it, and in the top 3 or 4 as far as scoring goals at the other end. So I think this game could come down to fine margins, because of the fact that there's not been a lot of goals between the two sides. But I do fancy Denmark to edge it, certainly, because I think Serbia have been disappointed in this tournament. I expected them to do certainly better in that second game. They made England look good in that first half, so that's been that takes some doing at this moment in time. And again, they say they did come a little bit into the game in the second half, but they didn't create an awful lot. Again, it was minimal chances. And then, I say, Mitrovic is misfiring for them. He had 6 chances, I think, again, in the last game, and just didn't come close in it with any of them. Vlahovic is sort of on the periphery of the game. He got took off early. So 2 key strikers you think have got a lot of goals in them, just not really been at the races so far. So most recent game between these two sides in 2022, so fairly recently. Denmark won that one 3-0. They're unbeaten in 6 matches across all games, and they've only lost 1 of the last 14, winning 9. So Denmark have a decent amount of good form coming into the match, and I think Serbia do throw up a fair few chances. They were very, very fortunate with that last second equaliser to kind of keep themselves in the tournament. And I said they should have been out of sight, really. Been put to bed a long time before that. I think Denmark win this one.
Denmark on the middle line for Jack. Nigel, you've got a slightly different take on this one. This is where the cards could come into it.
Yeah, this is the one that I like the cards in most. I mean, you hit it the nail on the head there straight away. It's a cup match. It's a winner takes all. A draw is no good for Serbia. A draw potentially could be all right for Denmark, but it's not ideal, is it? But they've got to win it. But it's a must-win match for both of them. The Serbians, just their World Cup last year in the Qatar is a mirror image of what they've done so far here. They played against Brazil in the first match in Qatar, like a big nation like they did England, tournament favourites. They lost 2-0 narrowly, put up a good display, lost 1-0 against England. The second match they drew here, goal scoring draw, and the third match set up a must-win match against an opponent they probably thought they had a chance with. The opponent on that day was Switzerland, little country, not in Europe, impartial in all wars, don't get involved in anything. There was 10 bookings in that match. They went absolutely mental. Must-win match. The Swiss went crazy. The Serbians were going bananas. And they lost 3-2. And I don't know if you remember that match. Shaqiri scored a blind. There was late goals. It was crazy. 10 bookings in that match. The Serbians completely went mad, lost their heads. The last match we just saw last time out, Serbia against Slovenia. The score was 1-0. The match was going nowhere. Serbia were heading out. 5 minutes from the end, the Serbians got 4 bookings in the last 5 minutes. Completely went mental because they were going out the World Cup, started kicking, started going mad, complaining against the referee. 4 bookings in those 5 minutes. They scored a goal in the last kick of the game. Nothing happened. Now it's set up this massive match. The Serbians, you only got to look at the team that they are. You look at the history they've gone, recent history they've gone through as a nation. Look at Novak Djokovic, the biggest warrior there is in sport, and there's no way at all they're not going to fancy this. And if they go 1-0 or it's 0-0, they'll be diving all over the place. They'll be getting the card. We don't know the referee yet, which is very, very important in these bookings, but I don't think it's as much important because of the Serbians. They've got the most bookings so far in this tournament, bar none, and over 4.5 cards is even money. Now, let me tell you that I'd bet that if it was just Serbian players, let alone the match the game total. I mean, there were 6 bookings in the last match, which was in the second game, and like I say, 4 of them from the Serbian team come in the last 5 minutes of the game when they were heading home. If they're heading home here, well, it could be anything.
Yeah, game state I think is key here. As you mentioned, the situation will mean that Serbia will have to battle. We like overs on the cards. We appreciate that not every state can bet on the overs, but if you can, this is one to side with. Same group, England, Slovenia, Group C, of course, both kicking off at the same time. England are minus 278 to beat Slovenia, plus 950. The draw plus 370. Nigel, you have got to play in this. England obviously need just a point to qualify. A win will see them top their group. Slovenia probably need to win. Draw might be enough. I mean, at this stage, we will know the fate of third place finishers in Groups A, B and D, so Slovenia might know that a draw could be enough. So it's a difficult one from that point of view. But you're going to go for England here, which surprises me a little bit because, let's face it, England have been absolutely awful so far.
They have been awful. And I think it's whether you look at them and think, can they get better, or you think yourself, they're this bad. In my opinion, is England will get better. I've lived a long time watching England in major tournaments, and I remember their best performances in World Cups in 1990 when they got to the semi-finals. They were dreadful.
Yeah.
They spunk the place out after the first 2 matches. It was the Republic of Ireland draw. They said, bring them home, and then they come back as heroes. I've seen it so many times. I've seen it in the last Euros when we played. We were awful against Croatia. We got a 0-0 against Scotland. Everyone was moaning, and we should have won it. I think England get better. My biggest problem is that the manager. I've said this all along, and I've said it before that everyone's going about. I've said it since he started in the World. We haven't learned anything from the World Cup semi-final in Russia to where we are now. The squad he selected was wrong. He hasn't got a left-sided defender. He should have brought Chilwell. He should have had to recover for all these places.
I did say that Nigel likes England, by the way, but go on.
What I'm saying is it good enough to beat Slovenia, and I think it is. England's route in this group stages is what we've seen in pretty much every single tournament I can remember. If I've gone back through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 of the last tournaments that England have played, right? And we've had to go into the last 8 of them. Only one tournament we've ever gone in England where they've been guaranteed that they've qualified. The other 8 they've had to go and get at least a draw or win, right? And these are England's results. They've won 3-0, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-0. That's all of England's last matches. That's what they do, and they play their best form in the knockout stages. The only time England have ever lost in a final group game was when they played Belgium, and they'd already qualified, and Belgium beat them 1-0. Every other time, England have just got over the line. 3-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. That is what's going to happen here. England are going to beat... They've played Slovenia in a World Cup in the last group match before. In the 2016 World Cup, it was 0-0, and Joe Hart pulled off a worldie to actually keep England in the game. He should have lost that match. But this is a different England side. Harry Kane's going to... And I honestly believe that Gareth Southgate will make changes here. You won't see Trent... You won't see. I think Foden will play in a different position. He has to make changes, and I think England will put in the performance. Whether they're going to be enough to 2-3-0 to impress everybody, I don't think there is. And I think Carl Walker, what he said after the match, where he said there's no team beating anybody in these European Championships 3 or 4-0 apart from the very first match of the tournament. So I think it'll be close. But my best bet here is England to win 2-0. Again, Bet Rivers do not offer this market as you have to do it as a same game parlay. You bet England to win the match, and you bet under a half a goal for Slovenia. In the last 9 major tournaments, England have only conceded 1 goal in the final group match, and that was in a match where they'd already qualified against Belgium. But they won their first 2 matches, had nothing to play for, rested everybody, and they got beat 1-0 by Belgium. When it mattered, England haven't conceded. And I don't believe what I've seen from Slovenia. I thought they were very average against Denmark. England, that was the best they could ever play against Serbia. That match would have taken a lot out of them as well with that last-minute goal. They'll be so deflated by that match. And England, I know they're all over the place, and I don't believe they can win the tournament. But they have got so many gears to go into, and they've got to do it. He's got to change the system. I think he will change the system. He'll change the personnel, and England will be good enough to win this match. 1-2-0, job done, top the group. And again, going back to how important it is to top the group. England win this group. They play one of the best third-place sides in the right half of the draw. England comes second in this group. They play Germany in the knockout stages, and that's their last 16. So this is a huge match for England. They have to win it. And with the pressures on them in all major tournaments over the last 25, 30 years, they've done it. Not in great style, but they've got the job done. And that's what I think's going to happen here. England to win 2-0, -112. I think that's an absolutely knocking bet. However bad England have played, you've got to remember, they didn't concede against Serbia, and they conceded a worldie from 30 yards out to the only goal they had. So, I think England will be too strong here. I think they'll win it 1 or 2-0 and just move forward. Won't be impressive, but they'll be efficient.
Jack, betting leans on England. Thoughts on England?
Yeah, well, I can't disagree with anything Nigel said there. It's how it's been. Square pegs, round holes is what I've said when I've been asked about it already. It frustrates the life out of me that we're playing an unbalanced, disjointed side. We're playing like we're 3 or 4 games, warm-up games ahead of a tournament where we're testing things out, and you say, oh, well, he's injured, so we'll play him there, and that won't be all right in the tournament. It's so lopsided. Foden's best work was coming from right of centre, and he was playing left wing, and we've got a right-footed left back playing left back, and there was nothing down that left-hand side. So yeah, for me, it has to change. I'd imagine he's going to have to change it now because he's not one to normally bow to public pressure, but I think it's got to that point where it's clearly and blatantly obvious, and it will start to raise questions about his capabilities as a manager going forward if he can't recognise that this needs to change and there's a problem. So I'd probably see someone like Anthony Gordon or potentially Ezer, but maybe Gordon coming in on the left-hand side to give it more balance and more width, and as Nigel said, Foden coming into the centre. My lean on this was going to be under corners for England, because you can play under 5.5 corners at -103. They only got 1 against Serbia, 2 against Denmark, because it's so disjointed, so lopsided, and everything was coming inside rather than to get corners. You need to be obviously going on the outside. You need to be getting crosses into the box, shots from outside the box, and that kind of stuff, and it weren't happening. So that's why the low corner count. So I've not played that purely on the basis that I do think it will change. There will be more balance, but I agree. I think this screams an England 1-0, 2-0 win, get the job done, move on, and I say with a better, more balanced performance, a more controlled performance.
Let's get to Group E, and a fascinating encounter from a betting point of view between Slovakia and Romania. This is Wednesday, midday Eastern. Slovakia plus 215, Romania plus 285. Now the draw is plus 114 here. First time in European Championship history that all 4 teams in this section, the other 2 of course of Belgium and Ukraine, have been on the same amount of points after 2 games. A point will be enough for Belgium and Romania. If both games are drawn, Belgium and Romania go through, with Slovakia hoping to go through as one of the third best third place teams. And Ukraine would be out. And when this game kicks off, Slovakia will know if 4 points is going to be enough for them. Nigel, this is one of those games where everyone thinks it's going to be a stitch-up and the two teams are going to play for a draw. We've seen it previously. 2008, Denmark-Sweden was plus 130, ended 2-2. But in 2021, Ukraine-Austria was just over even money. And Austria won. So it doesn't always happen. Is this a game that you'd want to get involved in betting-wise, or completely leave alone because you've got this chance of these two nations, obviously unofficially carving it up, but with 20 minutes to go, if it's 0-0, I mean, from a better, do we just leave it alone, or just think, hang on, even at evens, this is going to be a brilliant play?
I remember someone saying to me once, if there was rumours years ago that somebody, it's documented that all these Italian matches were 0-0 draws, and I remember matches got starting at minus 350, minus $3 on matches to be a draw in Italy and Serie A and stuff like that. And my mate said to me, well, if it's minus 350, why don't we just bet the 0-0 at like $3? I mean, it's genius. Why don't we do that? Well, carves up usually are 1-1 off that. I found that they get a goal and then they give another team a goal. Because if it's 0-0, it's really obvious it's a draw. People going for it, it balls over. So when you tend to find that when you have a carve up on a draw, it's usually 1-1 or 2-2. Very rarely 0-0. So my genius idea didn't really it backfired dramatically. But well, it's there, isn't it? I mean, it's the price. It's if you think it's going to be a draw and there is going to be a draw and they've come to some agreement, then the price should be no offers. It's a draw. But the market will tell you, won't it? I mean, if we open up at plus 114 and it starts minus 125.
Well, Bet Rivers went plus 100 initially. Now it's plus 114. I think they were very, very cautious, but now into line with pretty much everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I wouldn't have a bet on the match. I'd just watch it. I mean, if you say half time, you say like 25 minutes to go, but in 25 minutes to go in a normal European Championship match, the draw will be around about probably plus 100, plus 105, something like that. But on this match, you'll be betting the draw at minus 250. So I think it's one to avoid and just watch.
Jack?
Yeah, same.
Don't get involved. That's the. I mean, some people will just back it regardless. I know that it's an odd one, and I guess that's where this third place situation falls down. I didn't like it initially. Then I sort of grew into it because so many more nations have got chances to qualify. But when you see situations like this, I know it's an anomaly. It's the first time it's happened in this particular situation. But yeah, I'm not a huge.
I think
fan.
the other thing you've got to say is that these are two nations that to reach the knockout stages will be
absolutely.
If it was Germany against I don't know, Switzerland or something like that, or like a two big nations or someone that they wouldn't have it. But for these two nations to reach the last 16 of the European Championship, it's a great achievement. It keeps their fans out there, and if the opportunity comes around for them to make a knockout stage of a European Championship or a World Cup, they would actually be quite foolish not to accept it, because the chance of it ever happening again, we're going to be quite slim. So I'm going to bet it now.
He told himself into it.
Yeah.
It's worth looking at. His live tables which show you the top four, the top four third place finishes. So keep an eye on that, because if it gets to a point,
they'll know by the time. This is the point, isn't it? They will know by the time this kicks off.
But other games, you've got opportunities to get on in play as far as where this now, because of results elsewhere, someone might be losing 2-0. That suddenly makes the other game.
Potentially.
So I'm not saying this particular one, but like for other games in other groups, it's worth keeping an eye on the in-play. You might be able to just react quick enough when there's a goal go in, check to see the situations. Know the situation before you go into it.
Do you know one thing I am staggered about? I'm staggered this is the first time this ever happened. When you work out mathematically, one team win, one team lose, one team win, one team. Really, the first time it's ever happened.
It might have happened in a World Cup, but the line is it's not happened in the European
Well, I don't think it would have happened in a
Championship.
World Cup because the games they're not as close in the betting. The World Cup games, you wouldn't have one team winning, one team. There's minnows who are a 3-goal underdog in some of the matches. But I'm in a European Championship in a group I'm really surprised. It's the first time we've ever had this situation where all four teams are on the second.
Yeah, I mean that's the stat I've seen, so I can't
No,
believe
I've heard a lot of people say it as well, but
wrong.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, it is a bit. We have got one more official play. It's in Czechia, Turkey, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, Group F. Jack's got it for us here. This looks pretty simple. I mean, the Czechs here plus 145, Turkey plus 175 now. They did go out to plus 190. Draw plus 265. The way I've got this, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, point for Turkey's enough. Czechs need to win. Is that right? How do you see it? Where's the value?
Yeah, it is right. To answer those questions, a point is enough for the Czechs. Turkey, a point is enough for Turkey. They can't play for a point. They're not that kind of side, and it's dangerous against an opponent that needs to win. So it's not as if there's nothing in it for them. So yeah, this will be a winner takes all really. And say as far as the value, this is more of a value play for me than a stat based, or I can reason it out with why Turkey is so much better than the Czechs. But I was impressed with Turkey against Georgia. Yeah, Georgia were set up as being the whipping boys of the tournament, but I thought Turkey played extremely well in that first game. Incredible atmosphere. I talked about it earlier, but the atmosphere that Turkey brought to that game was absolutely insane. It was brilliant. It was like in Istanbul. It was that kind of fever pitch of a performance. So that again will bring that to the table. It's interesting that Vincenzo Montella rotated, I think, potentially with one eye on his fixture. A couple of his young talents went out of the game against Portugal. They sat on the bench, got a few minutes towards the end, but they were one of the better players in that particular game. So it felt a little bit like I think Portugal had got us covered, and they did. I thought Portugal were impressive, got the job done. Now Turkey need to go and get a result in this one. I think they will. Güler, who plays for Real Madrid, was sensational against Georgia. He's got to come into the starting lineup here. He's obviously been touted as a high talent by the likes of Ancelotti. He wants to go out on loan next season to get more game time. He was superb at the back end of the campaign for Real Madrid, so he's one to watch for next season, wherever he ends up. He wants to play for a Champions League side, but they missed big chances against Portugal early on. They did have an opportunity to potentially cause an upset, but once they went behind, it was game over. And also, the mistakes they made. You got to hope that was just a bad day at the office, really. Obviously, I'm back in Turkey here, so those mistakes, rolling the ball past the goalkeeper for own goals and just terrible kind of incidents, you just got to put that down as a one-off. Czechs, backs to the wall against Portugal. That was one of those performances that we haven't really seen too much of this tournament, where they just literally were bombarded from the get-go, completely against the run of play, scored a goal from outside the box, and that's all they brought to the table. It was different against Georgia, where they had 27 shots, but they only scored one goal. And again, we've talked about it. These sides that create chances but miss plenty, you're just not going to get where you need to get to. And the main part of this is that Sheik, who scored the goal, limped off. He was obviously a joint top goal scorer in the last tournament. Limped off, looks like a bad one, looks like he will miss this game. And I think he's such a focal point for Czech and what they do that it is a huge blow for them, for him to be missing if he doesn't start in this one. Expect more money for Turkey if that is confirmed that he doesn't start in it. As I said, this was more value for me. Turkey opened up at plus 135. That wasn't a play. They did drift out, you rightly mentioned, to 190 yesterday after the games. I think possibly as a result of that injury news, then we've had some money for Turkey, but also I believe Turkey should be around about plus 150 for this. And I put this forward last night at plus 175, and they've come in a little bit more. I put it at plus 190, and they've now come into plus 175. So the money is coming for them. I expect a little bit more as well. But anything for me, 160 or better, is a value play, and that's why I put it forward, obviously, at the prices that we were getting at, and we can still get now.
Great stuff. That's the final pick. That's Group F Wednesday. Let's get some best bets before we wrap up. Nigel, what's your best play match day 3?
I like all of them. I really, really like all of them. I'm confident about all of them. It's a toss-up between England to win 2-0 or over 4.5 bookings. I'm going to go over 4.5 bookings in the Serbia-Denmark match.
Jack,
hopefully it's tight. The only way that's going to lose, I think, is if Denmark or one of them race into a...
But even, it's one of those ones, if Denmark is sort of, 2-0, 3-0, and Serbia lose their rags, that...
Yeah, but if it's the other way, I can't imagine the Danes losing their rags. They're very calm. I can't imagine them losing. If Serbia 2-0 up, then we've done our money. But hopefully that's really tight. 0-0 going into the last 15-20 minutes, and then we could...
Have you got a price on just Serbia cards? Is that there? I'm not sure.
That's not up yet. All the props aren't up. I think they're waiting for the referee, but it'll probably be around about... Probably be Well, it's over 4.5 cards at even money. I reckon over Serbian cards will be over 4.5 at even money as well.
The other thing going for that bet is that yellow cards get restarted, don't they, after this round? So obviously
No.
they get.
No,
It's not. It's the next round.
no, it's. I think it's quarter final is the cut off.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
got to be
Forget what I
careful
said
with
then.
that.
Cut that out.
Yeah,
Do you honestly
no,
think some Serbian's going to give a monkeys about that?
No, well, I know it's what I was thinking.
No
that's gonna be
way
more
whatsoever.
important.
Jack,
We don't care
Jack,
about
you're usually good on those triple check it and everybody
Yeah.
watching triple check it, but I think there's another round before they get quashed.
My bad on that one. Ignore what I said
Yeah,
there.
it's all right. Jack, what's your best play?
My best play is for Denmark to beat Serbia, and then for Serbia to get really angry about it. But yeah, it's Denmark to win for me. My best bet.
Denmark to win. Best play for Jack. Right, that wraps up Betting Weekly Extra Time Euro 2024 edition. For now, many thanks to Nigel and to Jack. Next up, we will be previewing the knockout stages round of 16. For now, though, from all of us, it is goodbye.